Okay, this is the Sigma 150 to 600 contemporary on APS-C 90D. We're going to do a test at 50mm to see how it performs in video, and we're looking to see how the stabilization performs. So I'm going to try and keep it as steady as I can. This is 150mm. Okay, this is the Tamron. So this is the G2 lens. We're going to test the VC on this particular lens at 150mm on the 90D APS-C. Remember, there's a 1.6 crop, and we're testing focus as well as how well it does with the VC. 150mm. Is it better? We'll find out. APS-C 600mm is 960mm in reality, but this is a 150mm test. Okay, this is image stabilization test, Sigma contemporary, 300mm. I'm just going to test the focus on the 90D APS-C. So we just need to test it, see how it does with focus. 300mm. Just a quick test on how the dual pixel AF is working on the 90D APS-C. About 8 meters away. Just testing how the image stabilization is doing on the 90D. Holding it as steady as possible. I do have some experience holding long lenses, so you may think I'm really shaky, but that's not true. It's not super quick, but there you go. So this is the Sigma contemporary, 150 to 600, optical stabilized. We have not modified the image stabilization using the Sigma dock. Okay, this is the Tamron G2 lens at 300mm. We're checking the image stabilization on APS-C 90D. Just to see how it does in terms of the stabilization. As I've said in previous videos, we have not modified the stabilizer using the Tamron dock yet, because that's due to turn up soon. We'll be able to see the difference though when we do some more tests between not having the firmware update and having it then. So, you know, I just hope this test is a reasonable good test. The tripod mount is bigger on the Tamron than it is on the Sigma. On the contemporary, that is, not the Sport. In terms of all tripod mounts, the Sport is the best because it is the biggest. but it cannot be removed like the Cotemporary and Tamron G2. So this is a test of stabilisation on the 90D. Dual pixel autofocus in video mode. At 300mm. Right, Sigma Cotemporary, 600mm, 90D APS-C test. We're just testing the image stabilization. I'm just trying to see how we can get the focus to work reasonably okay. Testing stabilization, 600mm APS-C. Effective focal length, 960mm. So it's not easy, as I've said. It's not because I'm really shaky, it's because of the sheer magnification of the actual focus. It does seem when you're moving, the image stabilization isn't doing a fantastic job, but when you keep it still or very close to still, it does tend to sort of work better. Okay. Again, this is 600mm contemporary lens. So we're just testing the autofocus on the 90D. Because it's the LCD, we can't get extra stability because we're not using the viewfinder, so I can't use my head to steady it more than I am doing. But it's not too bad. Much better on tripod though, or monopod. Okay, stabilization test at 600mm on the G2 Tamron lens. On the 90D APS-C test, we're testing the stabilization. I am trying to keep it as steady as possible, but it's not easy. Effective focal length is 960mm. So we're just testing how it focuses and how the stabilizer works. Again, I can't use my head to stabilize because I'm looking at the viewfinder. So it is advisable to use a tripod or a monopod for that matter. I believe the Sigma Cotemporary does seem to look a bit better stabilizer wise. But looking at the video, it does seem to jerk around a bit on the Tamron. Come on, focus, focus, focus. Again, as I've said in previous videos, at present, without the firmware update, it is quite slow. I'm not impressed, but maybe the firmware update will do better. We'll find that out in another video. This is out of the box, not modified at all. Come on, focus, focus, you're not focusing. Really slow to focus. Okay, here we go again. This is the Tamron G2 lens, 150mm on the 90D APS-C. Just remember there'll be a 1.6 crop. And let's just see how it does with the autofocus and the VC stabilization. Don't see any problems at 150mm. But obviously no one buys these lenses because they want to do 150mm. Because we want reach. That's the main reason we buy these big lenses. And obviously a lot of people can't afford the Canon primes. They're very expensive. Don't get me wrong, they're quick and fast, but many people cannot afford the sort of money it costs to buy them. So that's why these lenses are appealing. For video work, I don't think it's a major issue. I think only when you're taking fast action pictures where it may be of some concern to you. Okay, here we're doing another stabilizer test on the tripod. This is the 150 to 600 contemporary. We're at 150mm on the 90D. So we have a corresponding crop of 1.6. So at the long end, 600mm translates to 960mm. So let's just continue with the test and see how the focus does, as well as the stabilizer on the tripod. .90D is doing a really good job. Going from near to far, moving across. Again, we're on full, we're not using the limiter, just remember that. The best type of test to do is have it on full if you want to see how the focus does. Obviously limiters will help dramatically on your focus. But I'm just trying to get an idea of the stabilizer. How well is it doing? On 90D, I think we're doing a good job here. Okay, 90D again. We're on 300mm this time on the Tamron G2 lens, 150 to 600. So let's just see how the focus does at this focal length. Again, remember it's a 90D APS-C. So we're just having a look to see how the focus performs. Remember, we're doing it in effect live view, so it's that dual pixel AF that's doing the work here. We're using a center point for our focus point. I'm not too fond of using multiple points because it doesn't give you accurate focus. And sometimes manual focus can be just as effective, but I'm just seeing how the focus pulls and seeing how quick it is and seeing how video performs, and optical stabilizer as well. Obviously the VC is slightly different. But it's doing a reasonably good job at pulling focus without hunting too much. Okay, we're at 300mm on the 90D. Again, we're going to be checking the optical stabilizer. This is the APS-C camera that we're using. Again, this is the contemporary lens, doing a reasonably good job on the tripod. I'm just trying to get an idea of, is the Tamron or the contemporary better? Which is the better? So I'm doing a series of tests. Obviously I'm focusing on video, as the stabilizer could and should be okay, but remember, we haven't put this lens through the dock, and we haven't improved any firmware at all. So when we do that, we might be able to see a vast difference in performance. At the moment we are seeing some hunting going off. Normally at the long end, obviously full frame should be easier rather than APS-C, because APS-C is a longer focal length when you take into account that 1.6 crop factor. Right, Tamron G2 lens again on the 90D APS-C. Equates to 960mm with the VC working on this. We're literally on full mode on everything, and VC set to on basically. VC mode is 1, I believe. So this is at 600mm. We're just going to test the pulling of the focus and moving it across on a tripod, a Manfrotto tripod with video head. So let's get to the test and see how that does. So again, see how it does. Moving across. Obviously, this is 960mm. Please remember that. You know, it may not seem quick, but when you take into account the focal length, it's huge. As you can see there, it's minute, the focus is. Look how minute that is. And depth of field is doing a really good job as well. It's completely blown out, even at f6.3. If you're wondering what it was set at on the EOS R, as well as the 90D, we are at 6.3. So on the video head, on the Manfrotto tripod, it's very smooth, and the focus isn't bad either. It's only when you're hand holding it does it become a bit of a chore, and you might not think 2 kilograms is a big heavy weight. Trust me, after a while of holding it, it does become heavy. So I hope these videos are helpful. But what we need to do is update the firmware and see if we have any improvements. Now I will do that when the tap turns up, but in the meantime, again, look at this, it's not quite wanting to focus. Don't know why. It's struggling. This didn't happen with the Sigma, sorry. So it does seem to me that the Sigma is doing a little bit better when it comes to focusing. We will look at sharpness in another video, but it's up to you to decide if you think this test is a good one for you guys. Hopefully you'll find all these tests useful, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you like these videos, and like, please. Thank you. Okay, this is the 90D, 600mm on the contemporary. We're on full mode. OS is on mode 1, if you're wondering. We have not customized this lens any shape, form, and we're just trying to see how the optical stabilizer on a tripod does. Obviously it wasn't too fantastic handheld, but let's see how we do on a tripod. And I think it's doing reasonably okay on a tripod. Handheld, it is 2 kilograms, remember that. Plus the weight of your camera, which is probably about 500 grams to 700. But I think we're doing a reasonable good job with the autofocus. You know, and it's not a prime lens, it's not going to be super fast. Obviously I will check photo speed and optical stabilizer in photo mode as well in a separate video. But this is all about testing the optical stabilizer. Again, we've lost it, it's coming back. It occasionally does that. It's a bit annoying, but there's nothing I can do about that.